What's this object? If you know, just say so and pass it on. If you don't, say something about it and then pass it on. Watch everyone's reactions and listen very carefully. We're looking at how people grasp at the unfamiliar. It's lighter than it looks. The main oval section is made of metal. It's probably for a game. It's got an on-off switch. Unlucky insect. It looks like a tennis racket, a very small tennis racket. Quite a bit of tension on that. I'm not sure anything's going to bounce off it. It takes 2 AA batteries. It has an indicator light on it. Not sure I'd trust my children with it. Not a toy. Maybe connected to the airline industry? Something to do with signalling? I think it was made in China. I think I know what it is. I think I know too. I still don't know what it is. Okay, everyone who knows what it is, it's a 1, 2, 3 fly zapper. When we experience something unfamiliar, the process we use to grasp at meaning is called sense-making. According to the organisational theorist Carl Weick, sense-making has 7 characteristics. It's a social activity. Narratives evolve from conversations. We extract cues from the context. What we notice is influenced by our mental models and past experience. We enact as we speak. This helps us understand what we think. Retrospection changes sense-making. What we notice changes with time. Sense-making is ongoing. We simultaneously shape and react to what's happening. As time passes, we add experience and reassess what we think. Sense-making favours plausibility over accuracy. Plausibility gives us lots of possible meanings, but it's credibility that leads to satisfaction with the meanings we generate. Our identity, who we think we are, shapes our reactions and interpretations of what's happening. You might wonder what this has to do with project management. Well, for a start, in most groups there are people who don't know what's being talked about. Let's take a closer look at the sense-making process. What was going on when we were faced with the unfamiliar fly zapper? When you said unlucky insect, I thought, ooh, you just can't resist the temptation to say what it is. Did you know, or were you guessing? I didn't know. Did anyone nod? Were you looking for confirmation, looking to extract cues? No. And you, every time it was your turn, you said something humorous, then looked around to see whether people were smiling. I thought, yeah, that's you, that's your identity. You want to be funny and for people to like you. The humour bit, it takes 2 AA batteries, we all became much more relaxed at that point. I get the point about past experience, how your brain's been washed. I'm an electrical engineer. When someone mentioned batteries, I thought there wouldn't be enough current to zap the insect, so I rejected the idea. I think I went for plausibility over accuracy. I was absolutely convinced it was some kind of games interface, so I passed it on. Every minute of every day, we do all sorts of sense-making and retrospection. We relate things to what we know, rackets, sport, games. This process keeps moving. It's ongoing. Then the social context changes things. What actually happens depends on everyone who's here. The challenge to me was categorising it. I wanted to categorise it. Sport? Gaming device? It had clues for various different categories. I didn't know where to place it. Yes, we only get to a point of being reasonably happy when we can categorise something, because it's an indicator that we've made sense of it. Even if that sense is wrong? Yes! I felt happy when I knew what it was, even though I was completely wrong. Is it a social activity because everyone has to agree what it is? That's a really good question. It is. And if there's someone really dominant in a group, it's likely that the whole group will gravitate to their answer, even if most of the group think it's wrong. And some people stay quiet, even when they're convinced the majority is wrong. Sense-making is fundamental to the whole concept of knowledge. Knowledge is what people negotiate and agree through social interaction. It's the current truth, the accepted knowledge. In the language of sense-making, it's the narrative. There's no black and white. There's no right and wrong. There is only what people agree at the time, and it's influenced by politics and by power. We used to think the sun went round the earth. Even after scientific observation gave us enough evidence to show it was the other way around, religion and beliefs prevented this being accepted. So scientific observational knowledge puts questions around beliefs, but this doesn't mean the beliefs won't dominate. Look at fundamentalist groups. They have strong beliefs that dominate their actions and determine what they consider to be knowledge. And what about fact? Is there such a thing as fact? For a lot of people, fact is what's proven. But what counts as proof? These are important concepts for applying sense-making to what we're doing in project management, or in any part of our day-to-day life. Sometimes sense-making just needs to be good enough. I have some idea about gravitational waves, but I don't know what Hawking knows. And that's good enough. If I was in a survival situation, though, I'd need to be much more certain, so sense-making would need to be much more definitive. Individuals differ too. Some people feel comfortable with ambiguity, quite happy with, well, I kind of know enough. Other people need to know more to feel comfortable. It's all about personal identity. We bounce things off our identities. We've got values and beliefs, things we allow and don't allow ourselves. Some people go beyond what's absolutely necessary because it's part of their makeup. In groups, it's not just expertise that's important, but the traits of people. If you can use the traits of people positively, it makes a big difference. In a group, some people don't allow the others to go through a full sense-making process. They just say, this is the answer. The others are forced to jump to a meaning without going through the understanding process, so they'll struggle later on. Some people do that to preserve their status, their superiority. They use tactics to say that's it, definitive answer. They say things like, well, I think we finished with that one now, and close down discussion. Close down a sense-making opportunity in the group. LinkedIn discussions are like that. You start a discussion with the objective of having a conversation so that other people will go through the thinking process, even if you have a strong view of what the answer might be. Someone comes along and says, oh, it's easy, I know the answer, here's a link to a blog I wrote about it, it'll cost you £200 an hour and I'm free next week. That just kills it completely. So, do I care about my understanding, or do I care about the group's understanding? The question for me would be, what's more important to me? That these people understand, or that I show off what I know? If I'm the project manager, I can delegate more and let people take a lot more responsibility if I take a little bit of time up front to help them fully understand where we are. What can we do to enable sense-making in the future? Here are a few ideas. Think about the way we set up groups. If we have a mix of experience and characteristics, groups can be very positive. Different people extract different cues. If people have different beliefs, we can avoid groupthink. Protocols are also worth thinking about. In reviews, try to deconstruct the hierarchy and look objectively at what happened in a project. Facilitation can help here. If hierarchy is big in the group, anonymise ideas and feedback. Yes, take the identity out and you remove the hierarchy. Do whatever you can to encourage people to think and speak freely. Involve other people in decision making and allow time for the social processes to happen. We can all do something individually by not jumping to conclusions and by giving other people the opportunity to go through the sense-making process. More haste, less speed. Remember that our understanding of experiences changes over time, so try to build in opportunities to revisit decisions and reflect on them, Is this still what we think? Agile approaches make it a lot easier to do that. And remember that sense-making can be good enough. One last thing. Should we consider changing the way we educate people? We teach people that there's a right and a wrong, one answer, and you have to do an exam as an individual. How does that enable sense-making? What do you think?